Hey everyone, Jag Taggart 93 back again with some more Quake XMAS Jam 2019. Now first of all, I want to wish everyone again a very merry and happy and blessed Quakemas. And like before, we're going to be looking at 4 more maps from the map pack, so let's get right on into it. Our first map is Violet Fluid by Heresy. This is a unique looking map, and it has a very bright purple aesthetic to it, which I really like. It works really well alongside the futuristic grunts and style we got going on with the map. There's a emphasis on very tight vertical progression that's done really well, and it's a pretty good map. The secrets are pretty well done. Recommend playing this one on hard or nightmare mode. My only real hiccup with this one was, well, the ending kind of lost me for a second. You get a message saying that you can now exit through the desert, and I didn't really quite understand what that meant. What desert? But once I realized that it was talking about the area that's all around us, up on the top floor, I realized, oh, okay, very simple. So, very cool map. The author had a very clear aesthetic in mind to it, and it's pretty solid. It gets a 77% for me. The next map is Untitled by Naitelveni. I apologize if I mispronounced your name there. Naitelveni made a map that's called Untitled, and, well, when it comes to Quake maps and Quake, especially what they name Quake maps, I have a type, right? One that I've never really gotten over ever since I was in middle school playing Quake. I always gravitated towards more edgier sounding map names. So if you name your map something like, I don't know, Satan's Basilica of Doom, or the Dreaded Massacre on the 666th Day, or the Downward Spiral to Satan's Dungeon, or something like that. Something that sounds really over the top. I just love those kinds of maps, actually, and perhaps the most edgiest name you can give your map is just Untitled. I don't know why, just to me it just seems edgy. Anyway, we're looking at Untitled, and yeah, I dig the architecture here, and I like how initially you're forced to engage the initial enemies with only the mundane axe. And the enemies that you encounter are a couple knights that are human, but they're mixed in with zombie knights, actually, so you have to be very smart in how you engage them, don't get cornered. One thing that's really interesting is that the next step of the progression unlocks after you kill all but one of the human knights, which I thought was odd. I'm not sure if that's a mistake or if that's intentional, but typically when you have a progression in a Quake map that goes forward after you kill a certain amount of enemies, usually it's once you're done killing an X amount of a certain type of enemies. Like, say if 4 scrags appear with 10 grunts, and you kill 1 scrag and it says 3 more left to go, obviously it means you gotta kill all the scrags, but here it's all the human knights but 1 will unlock the next section of the map, which I thought was a bit odd but interesting. Anyway, what I found a little odd was this initial ambush that you're supposed to trigger is actually triggered in a way that I didn't really... I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it's so obvious I didn't really think. So, let me put it this way. When you start the map, you're just in this open arena and there's no enemies to engage. You have an armor and a pillar and some switches. The switches seem to unlock secrets, more on that in a little bit. And the armor, just being out in the open, I assumed that would be something that would trigger an enemy ambush, but it doesn't. Now, there's this one pillar that you interact with, and that triggers the ambush, but the pillar has a bit of gold on the top of it, so I thought initially that's something that you only interact with after getting the gold key, but that's not the case. So anyway, you knock the pillar, you kill the knights, and you continue on with the map. Now, aesthetically, I really like how the map looks. It's got a nice hazy purple sky overhead, with a matching fog that just kind of loosely hangs over the grim and grimy brick and wood of this medieval arena. And as far as progression goes after that initial encounter, it's pretty tight. At the end, I really enjoyed the quad damage rampage you go on through. And you could just sprint right out the door right after you get the gold key, but much more fun to take on the Shambler. And of course, if you can time it just right, it's great being able to take on the Shambler with the quad damage as well, while you got a whole bunch of enemies in the way as well too. So a lot of fun there, actually. Now, you do eventually get an actual gun in this map. It's the triple-barreled shotgun, which is closely guarded by the ogre, actually. So a lot of frantic rounding and hacking away before you get to that weapon. Now, like I said, there's some secrets here. There's 2. One of them is pretty obvious. Doesn't really actually feel much like a secret. It's just some ammunition. The second secret, I honestly could not figure out how to fairly get to. I no-clipped around the map for a little bit, and I found it. It's a grenade launcher, which would be a lot of fun to use in the final area. But yeah, I'll be darned if I can figure out how to get to it. That said, it's still a pretty fun map, actually, and just a lot of fun just running around the arena in circles and triggering monster combat. You know, with all the different scrags, the fiends, the shambler at the end, the undead knights as well, and just blasting with the triple barrel shotgun. So, very simple, nothing too crazy going on with this map, and it satisfies. I give it a 64%, it's pretty good. Now, the next map is Final Claws by Shademaster. Now, with a name like Final Claws, I was really hoping this would be another Christmas-themed one involving Santa, but unfortunately that's not what we got here. So I'm not really sure what the map name is referenced to, but whatever. That being said, I really dig the aesthetic to this one as well. In fact, just so far, the maps that I've played all look amazing. And yeah, this one we have a hidden medieval catacombs underneath centuries of snow and frost. The progression is pretty basic, but it works. You get item, big bad appears, so on, go through the big bad, go to a new area, get item, more stuff happens. But the brevity of the map really keeps feeling repetitive, and the limited space actually is something that helps the experience actually, because space is so limited, the player will often have to rely on their reflexes and timing to quickly take down enemies that they encounter, especially the last few. Now there's only one real secret here, and it's pretty easy to find, but it's really not worth the effort at all. But still a pretty good map, and 65% for me for this one. Now the last map, Coldwind Castle by Mortal Maxx, is another very good looking map actually. It's a very tight, very focused map, has some really clever secrets going on, along with some really clever progression as well too. I really enjoyed that one area early on actually where you get the silver key by destroying the window panels to access the chain that you have to shoot at to open the door, so really clever progression. The combat is a little more annoying than I would like due to how little space you're given on the walkways and the towers. However, the author still, you know, it's evident they had playability in mind with this one, as evident by a shortcut rope that becomes accessible towards the end of the map in case you fall down and have to come back up without, you know, needlessly backtracking. So that was really cool. And I just love the environment here. The water, the sky, and just everything is just so dismally beautiful. Now, one touch I really liked actually, and initially I didn't, but after some thought, I thought it was really clever, was the water itself, actually. I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go secret hunting. I'm going to jump in the water. I jump in the water, and of course the water's hurting me. And I was like, oh, come on, it's water. It shouldn't be damaging me. Then I thought about where we are. You know, we are in a very cold environment. Jumping in freezing cold water would not be a good idea. So, in that sense, actually, it works. You know, it's a nice gameplay thing to make sure you're not, you know, you stay to the map. But at the same time, it really fits the theme as well. So a lot of thought really went into this one in terms of theme, progression, the player experience as well. And yeah, I have very little negative to say about this one. It's also a very, very great map with a 78% rating for me. Alright, and that's all I really have to say about these four. Definitely pick up the map jam and give it a shot. Feel free to agree or disagree with me in the comments if you want. If I don't see you again for part 3, I'll see you all again in 2020, and have a very merry, blessed, and happy, and healthy Quake XMAS. This is Jag Taggart 93 signing out. Y'all have a good one.